Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. You are tuned in to another episode of Leica Stories. Today we are in conversation with the wonderful Martin Wonnacott. Martin, what are we doing here today, man? What's going on?
Hopefully talking something good. How are you, mate?
I'm
Nice to
doing wonderful. Great to have you on. We sometimes we get going in the green room and it's just such a good vibe. You want to just keep it going. Then we gotta, you know, pare down, kind of dial the energy down.
don't get
Don't
too
want to.
excited.
Yeah, can't get too excited because Danny's gonna jump in and be like, "Guys, we're going live." Got to cut the flow off. But
I'll
dude,
pretend.
yeah, exactly. I've been excited to have you on for a while because your work is dynamic. But the more I talk to you, I'm like, are we even going to talk about photography? You got to keep me. Usually it's me. I got to keep the conversation. You got to keep me in line because you seem like such an interesting dude. You have so much going on, such a personality. I might have to harness in because we might, who knows where we're going to go with this conversation.
We'll try and stick. We'll stick to photography.
There we go. We'll stick to it. We might.
Be very professional about this.
That's it. We're two professionals here. Look, I know you started at a young age or got interested in photography at a young age. I told you this over email. You got one of the coolest bios I think I've ever read. I think that was the point, man, where I'm like, it's gonna be a riot to talk to him because you just have that innate quality to just you're you.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, bios are funny because they're always like, I did this and I have all this and blah blah blah, and it's like just keep it simple. And do you know it's funny? I get embarrassed in mine sometimes. I think I should change it because I actually a friend of mine I think who's listening today. He helped write it, and I thought I should change it, but anyway, it's good to see you like it because it's kind of funny. It's different.
It stands out. It's
Stand out.
you. It's like you said. It's like I shot for this publication and this publication. I did this and 67
Oh,
awards.
yeah, blah blah blah.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I don't have any blogs to put in mine that I'm just like,
I know it's funny, but yeah, I think it's yeah, I think the world at the moment is there's a lot of people talking about themselves. I don't like to talk about myself too much, funny enough. So I like to keep things concise. Which today we'll open it up a bit and we can waffle on.
yeah, we're giving you full carte blanche to talk about yourself today. We won't. I like the humble types because I think your work speaks for itself, and we're gonna dive into a small sampling of your work. We'll drop the website. You guys really got to check out Martin's website. Your work is phenomenal. I mean, you really without me going too far into it, I feel like there's a trend going on in product photography now that is I look at it and I'm just like, ew, is this where we're at? Like there's some stuff that I see out there and I'm like, are brands really paying for this? And then I look at your work and I'm like, Martin, you could save product photography.
I try. I mean, I do have a similar feeling, but there's a lot of content out there, obviously,
Mhm.
which is good and bad. It's good in that there's a lot of content. It's bad that a lot of it is bad, and I think there's a lot of it that's kind of repetitive as well. And there's a lot of people following the same train. I've always stuck to my train, and I've kind of been quite particular about my style. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a style. People have a style. I have an approach and a philosophy and kind of a mindset when I shoot, but it's not really. I don't see it as a style. I just keep things really simple.
Well,
And
I was gonna say you totally have a style that I see, but what's the approach? I mean, how do you go into it? Obviously, something's cohesive there to where you're getting that look that people can say you have a definite style, but what's the look or what's the approach that you're taking to your work that is leading to that?
I think, well, certainly currently, because my work has evolved over the years, but I think where I am now, and always have tried to be, is simplicity. And simplicity is very hard to actually shoot and produce simple things, simple visually, but visually strong. And the way I tend to shoot is obviously there's a lot of technicalities with the equipment that you're using, and then people get really blown away by you see too many people getting obsessed with what they. I mean, yes, equipment's really important. I have lots of nice equipment, but it's not what I think about when I'm shooting. I'm thinking about how you are looking at a simple thing like a can. I mean, I get paid to shoot cans of drinks, which is insane when you think about what you're actually.
Awesome.
And obviously other things as well, but the reality is that there is a lot of technical aspects to shooting what I shoot, and I always want to transcend that and not let people think how it was lit. They want to just look at it and kind of react to it and actually want to have that drink or taste it or feel it or touch it. And I think for me, you know, there's simplicity and it's not overlighting, but and I, you know, a lot of stuff. Oh, that's a new operating system.
That's what,
It's just stupid.
wow.
So I know if you do that, it does. I'm not going to do it, but these other stupid things. Anyway, apologize for my thumb.
I love it.
So what was I saying? So yes, there's a lot of, for me, the focus is on going past the technical stuff. There is the technical aspects, but I don't
Mhm.
think technically. I think in terms of aesthetic and emotional engagement, which sounds so cheesy, but it's true. When you look at my work, I want you to feel what you're looking at. Is
No,
the
that's real. I mean, you look at especially what you're shooting. I was just having this conversation the other day that you look at like 80s, 90s beer marketing, the commercials.
Mhm.
When I'm growing up, I'm not old enough to drink beer, but I wanted to drink beer because it looked fun and it looked refreshing. And I remember having my first sip of beer in the back of Bob Canoke's backyard. Bob, Bob Canoke, if you're out there listening somewhere, first sip of beer, spit
All
it
your
out. I was like, what the hell am I drinking?
right.
This wasn't like, you know, beach babes and the pickup truck on the beach with the bonfire and everyone's having fun hitting a volleyball around. It was horrible. But you're that's what you're selling. I mean, look, an effective. I look at your work and it's like, you know, the cover image that we used, you see the bubbles, you see the bright pops of color. It's that technical aspect that's like, man, I'm kind of thirsty.
Mhm.
I don't drink Budweiser, but I would drink a Budweiser right now because of that image.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea for me is it's again like I look at the product that I'm shooting because obviously I'm a commercial photographer, so the commercial aspects of what I'm trying to get across is the most important thing. You know, it has to portray the brand in a certain way that, you know, reflects what they stand for and what you're trying to do in terms of, you know, what you're pushing. Is it taste good? Does it taste nasty? I mean, most you should say it tastes nice, but sometimes there's people who want it to be a bit quirky. What are the characters of that? And then what are the intrinsic values of that and what do we focus on? So there is, you know, again, like the Budweiser stuff. I don't drink any beer, funny enough. I shoot lots of beer. I don't drink
Interesting.
excuse me. I just never have, but it's another less long story. But I shoot lots of it, and I know how it should look. So I know how it should look, and I know how it should make you feel, and I know how it should look in terms of like your thirst craving. I know how to do that purely from my experience of working with it. And again, it's something that again, like the nuances of each brand, there are certain characteristics that you can dial down into. The carbonation is different sizes in different brands and nuances like that, which
Interesting.
what I you know I then end up focusing, and that's what I'm drawn to as to what differentiates this. And it's such a subtle thing, which when you see it, you know it. And if you're certainly on the brand side, you go, oh, that's mine because the bubbles are smaller or whatever. But that's like the far end of the technical nuance of you know, the focus of what you're trying to get out. But again, for me, it's about feeling natural. And when I say natural, because a lot of people say, you know, you get a lot of work, and I'm not judging in any way, but you know, if you shoot something on the street, it looks great. If you know, if you've got the sun in the right place and you know, that's great. You can do a great, anyone can take a great shot. To be able to take a great shot in a dark room time and time and time and again, that takes a different level of technical ability. And that's what I'm tasked with, is that, you know, yes, you can get this kind of shots which look fantastic because they've been shot on a beach somewhere, but actually you want to recreate it in the studio to have that same vibe and same feeling. And that my task is to then bring that to life, which is really exciting because I love the fact that you know, most of my work is inanimate objects. I shoot models as well, but most of the time I'm shooting the thing, which is, you know, a bottle or a can or a box or something in a room with nothing. And I have to, you know, I turn up in the morning and there's nothing here. I mean, studio's in the background, but it's nothing that makes it
So
set
you're
up.
creating from nothing.
Yeah, from nothing. And that's what I love is then, and then the end of the day, you walk over this thing, shit, this looks awesome. And I want that. And that's, and I've done my job. And I, you know, I get off on that.
I think there's like you said, you comparatively to street, you're given everything. It's kind of just seeing it, putting things in the right place, hoping that things happen, waiting things out. You're creating everything from scratch. If it's not there, you have to add it. You have to create. And if there's something that doesn't go right, you only have yourself to blame, right? Because you're setting everything up and you're kind of you control all the variables. Is that easier for you, or do you find that, are you a control person through and through?
Uh, you'd have to ask my friends that, but I do like to be in control of my environment.
Mhm.
I think I'm very comfortable in the studio. I'm very comfortable on location as well, and I do like the challenges of shooting outside. And again, this is not dissing people who shoot on the street or shoot on beaches. But I think for me, it's I'm the master of my own universe here, and I can create everything, and I'm responsible if it goes wrong. If it goes right, then equally I can say, "Oh, we did a good job there today." And I think for me, I love challenges, frankly, and I think what drew me to um, product photography and still life was the technical challenges in the beginning, and trying to and even when I started and when I was like in my early teens, I would try and emulate situations where my parents' garage. So I'm getting croaky now. Excuse me. My tea is getting cold. That's the problem.
I should have let you make another cup.
I know. I should have done it before the. Oh. Anyway, sorry. So what I would do was play around in the garage and try and capture these drinks images, funny enough, and liquid, and because more of the technical side of things, but try and make it feel. And I had this crappy little angle poise light and some other things, and I was like, try and make it feel like daylight. And I was in my teens. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Why am I not out there photographing beautiful people on the street or whatever? And I was just drawn to that, oddly, and it fascinates me. It still does.
Interesting. What's the biggest challenge in it?
um, in all of it, I mean, honestly, is to make it feel whatever you're shooting that you want whoever's looking at it, and certainly from the commercial, because again, I very much I think in terms of the commercial space, I'm not a fine art photographer or anything like that.
Mhm.
Is that you want to have? I used to say I want them to lick the screen. When you see my work, you want to lick the screen, or you want to lick the poster, or you want to, that's how I want you to react. And that's what I try and push through. And again, if in terms of like the styling, I work with great teams here. I've got a great team around me. Always work with good people. And again, it's balancing the nuance of the technicalities, pushing past that so that you just react to it on a literal
Mhm.
gut reaction, literal emotional thing. I'm talking words now. I'm going around in circles.
What is it like? I mean, you're shooting for mega brands. We're not talking small micro influencers shooting some obscure product. Diving into the nuances in this, because I think on the outside it's like, yes, beautiful work, it's great, it sells this, but then it goes into all the work that goes into it. And when a lot of people don't think about, you're working with a huge, probably a huge team, or a very direct, like, hey, we need to hit these marks on this side. We're used to getting exactly what we want. There's a whole brand vision. I'm sure, a brand like Budweiser probably has a 4,000 page style guide that goes into everything from, colors to how far the logo can be from this and that.
Mhm.
How does does that make it easier or more difficult when you're working with a huge brand? What is it like, number one? Is it something where, you know, pretty much you have your work cut out for you, you know exactly what to do? Or is it like, well, okay, how much creative leeway do I have that while still staying with a style guide or with the parameters that were put forth by a creative director? How does that all work?
How does it all work? I see it as essential to be commercially successful, is to understand what you're dealing with, because there are so many, as you said, there's brand guidelines for every brand. There's some people are very prescriptive about, obviously the colors and how they're styled quite often is also in the style guides. And a lot of my work ends up in a lot of brand style guides as well, like how you should shoot these things. And I think for me, it's really important. And I always want as much information as possible, frankly. I like to, if it's usually, I'm fortunate to work with some big brands, so you tend to know who they are. But if it's a new product or something, I want to know more about it. Why? What's the position? Just to understand it, so that, because to me there is also another thing that I like to kind of bring into my work is like this, it's like an attitude. What is the attitude, a visual attitude of the product you're shooting? And that for me is as simple as, does it have flair? Does it have, is it a little sloppier? Is it shallow focus? And those play into the characters of the brand you're shooting. So I like as much information as possible. And obviously you do get very large, big document decks of like, this is what we stand for. But you can kind of just read it and go, okay, I get it. You need to be, and then I break it down into, right, don't face it left. Make sure you don't use green light, and you kind of just pass that out, and then you apply that to the visual approach. And then, again, for all what has happened in the industry is what used to be more for commercials is the treatments that now have to be made. And when you're shooting video, and you would always put together a big treatment, and it was a multi-page document, blah blah. Now in stills, you also have to do that. So you have to, certainly at this level, you have to do that. And you can end up putting together a 50, 60, 70 page document of how you're going to shoot.
Wow.
Kind of nuts.
So they want to know, is this kind of like they want to know exactly what you're doing before you do it?
Yeah, and it's so the treatment deck is something that, you put examples of work, you put your approach, you have to write paragraph pages of stuff of how you're going to shoot it. I'm not a wordy person, so that's taken me a while to adapt. I like talking, but I'm not very good at writing. So it's about and then your approach, how you're going to do it. That could be the technical side of things, but it's mostly your creative approach to a problem, because what you're doing is you're solving problems. It's a creative problem, a visual problem. We have this product, we have that, it has to look like this, and it has to live in this world, and it has to say that. How do we do that? And quite often you'll get very, in the traditional sense, there would be, the advertising agency or the design agency with their, layouts and very, prescriptive of where the copy's going and all the rest of it. And I shoot with, brand direct and through the agency networks and you name it. So I'm kind of all over the place in terms of my contacts, I guess. So I get different briefs, but there is always something. I'm talking a long story to what you asked me, but there is.
I love it.
There are, prescriptive guidelines that you need to adhere to within the creative realm. So sorry, going back a step. So when you're putting treatments together, the more information you have, the better, because then you can then use the same language, at least speak the same language, whether that's visual or literal, and then apply that to the brand. And hopefully they go, oh yeah, he understands what he's talking about. Yeah, here's the job.
See, I love this. It's like part of me is over here like, man, there goes my dreams of being a commercial photographer. I wouldn't even get through the treatment deck. I'd be stressed out on page 2. But I think it's real. I mean, it sounds like it sounds stressful as hell. But you see, I understand it from a brand side, but it's just so different from where we're at now that I think a lot of people don't realize. It's like people just think you can pop up on Instagram, take some cool pictures, and a brand's going to hire you, and you're going to be like, ascend to the top of the industry. And it's like, how many times I come across people, and it's like they don't know what a deck is. They don't know how to.
Yeah, I was going to say. Obviously the crazy thing now, and it's always been in a way, you can get your lucky break. Now people think if you shoot one cool thing and you get lots of likes, that's gonna get you places. But ultimately, it might get you. It actually, that does get you work. It can get you work.
Mm-hmm.
Does it guarantee you a career? No. And I think there's a lot of people who probably rely on a bit of that too much, and it's all important. All of it. That's the thing. There's no one thing. It's like having the right agent, having the right amount of publicity, the right. It's everything. It's not one thing. And being good at your job is not good enough, and never has been. You can be a really good photographer, but it doesn't guarantee you success.
Yeah. What's the key then? I mean, is it just being nice to people, building out your connections?
It's everything.
Easy to work with.
Yeah. Not necessarily. I mean, there's been some notable a-holes who are very successful. You don't have to be nice. I think you can get away with it a lot more in the years ago. But I think now people are less patient. I think, and there's I think in terms of attitude, people do get a bit. They won't take as much. Whereas I think again depends who you are and what industry you're in. In my world, it's quite close knit. It's relatively smaller crews compared to most things. I mean, I'm directing as well now, so I'm shooting the the TVC and the stills, and that does scale up. But relative to like a big fashion shoot with lots and hundreds of models and stylists, it's small. But yeah, I mean, if you're an a-hole, people are going to notice, and they'll talk about you. And for me, the experience, like my bar in the studio, I mean, I like comfy spaces. I like people to be comfortable, and I like the experience to be a good experience every time. And I truly believe that. For me, I like the team to be happy. I hope that, I want the whole experience to be good, and the work has to be, first and foremost, has to be bang on. But that's the minimum. So if your work's bang on, top of the top, if you can do that, that's your start point, and then the rest of it has to come up as well. So there isn't a secret. It's just you've got to work hard and be nice and be good and keep going.
20 other things.
And I mean, there's I don't know what the list is, frankly. I've been doing this hundreds of years. So.
I do want to commend you. Look, you're censoring yourself. I got a whole production team on the bleeper waiting. They haven't even had to use it.
I have periodic table of swearing in the studio here. Which is quite something, which is awesome.
I gotta swing. We're doing a part 2. I'm coming to the studio.
Yeah, well, I'm not far away.
Yeah, seriously, you're not far at all. I could been there. We could have been sitting here having a drink, sitting at a table.
The bar is always open.
Tea? Now I realize I've been drinking tea. I've been drinking tea wrong my whole life.
Yeah, I can teach you tea. Tea's not that hard. You just got to do it right.
So all right, now I gotta ask you. We're putting you on a spot here. I told you we're going to talk photography. This kind of works in with it. A cup of tea. How do you take a cup of tea? How do you sell it? What's that feeling that you're trying to get across? How do you accomplish it? Without giving me a 60-page deck.
As a photographer or as to consume?
I'll let you choose, either or.
If I'm making a cup of tea for you, and it has to be, I drink black Earl Grey tea, just from Fortnum Mason.
No frills.
Sounds noncy, but it's not. You can get it on Amazon now. I used to bring it back from London, but I just keep it simple. But it has to be, in my opinion, in a nice China cup. And I also have China cups and saucers in a Halliburton case for location as well, so that if I'm caught short, I can make a decent cup of tea.
You always have to bring your own.
Yeah, we did it. So I'll come back to your question. I forgot what your question was actually. What was your question?
How do you get the feeling across of a cup of tea? I mean, you don't have carbonation bubbles. How do you? What's the tea?
Well, I think I have shot tea. I've shot tea recently actually. And again, it's just, I think with it, everyone knows. Well, actually, not everyone knows, and everyone has their own interpretation of how they like their tea. Some like with milk, some don't. Again, we did the shoot for Lipton actually, funny enough, and we were shooting really close in and seeing all the kind of very specific bubbles, which comes from aeration from pouring as opposed to carbonation. I can speak lots about bubbles and weird.
I was going to say you're like a bubble connoisseur,
bubble expert, weirdly. But again, it's the subtle details with that you almost don't even know what you're looking at or why it feels right. And I think I put myself in the spot often when clients, they say, like something like what kind of, so I'm still going to not answer your tea question, but
I love it. Talk it out, babe.
And people do, some brands get really obsessed with condensation, the amount of condensation, the size of it, the regularity of it. That's on the outside. Then the carbonation inside, what is that? How, and they ask me, well, how are you going to, what kind of condensation you're going to use, and how will you, what is your kind of approach? And I just say that when it's right, it's right. So that's literally how, because, you can do this time and time again. And it's on the moment when you're styling or about to shoot. If it looks wrong, it's wrong. And that's there isn't always a black and white. It has to be this.
Is that your opinion or their opinion?
Yeah. And it's kind of like, so for me, and it's all the same with ice. I work with real ice and I work with acrylic, and all my acrylic, I've got a big, massive collection of hand carved ice, and it's kind of awesome in its own way. And we work with real ice. And then clients say, well, what, and they give references for enough of ice with these cubes, and we should use this kind of amount of ice. And I'm like, really? really, because sometimes it looks better when it's acrylic, and sometimes it's better when it's ice. But and which are we going to use in the shoot? I will use the one that looks right. You have to have both ready, because it's kind of like, well, some drinks look better with real ice because they react differently, and others don't. And again, it's hard when people say to you, well, they've said to me quite often actually, is, can you tell us how we should shoot this brand so other people can shoot it? Because certain brands, obviously big scale. I can't shoot everything in the world. I shoot a lot, but I can't shoot everything in the freaking world. So they need to be able to tell people how we shoot this brand is you need to approach it this way. And you can only go so far with that, because I could tell you how I lit a bottle of Coke, and on that day, in that moment. And if I was shooting the next day, it might be different. And if I was shooting on location, it'd be completely different. And if I was shooting against America, it would be completely different. And if I was a different angle, it would be different. So you can't just say, use one reflector here, a light source here, and there, and then it's going to work. You have to kind of react.
It's problem solution on the fly.
Basically, the tea has to look good.
The tea has to look good.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I didn't plan this topic, but I'm gonna go there because it's come up a lot recently. TikTok, social media, Instagram. In your genre, in your echelon of what you do, is there any pressure to create? I mean, are you on a straight path where it's like, okay, that stuff is way over here, we don't have to worry about it kind of veering into our lane? Or do you have to stay up on what is going on social media, what's going on with just where photography and video and everything are going? Or do you kind of keep just a narrow, I do what I do and I don't go out of my lane?
No, I always like to be uncomfortable. I think the minute you get comfortable, you're done. So I think always pushing. I'm always interested. I'm always looking and seeing what's going on. And you can look and choose not to be part of it. But if I'm aware of styles, I'm aware of things going on. Obviously, the AI question, which is coming up a lot in worlds on every level. Being aware of all of it is important. In terms of, I am a specialist. I chose to specialize in, I don't even know what I say, drinks, liquids, beverages. I don't know. It's the drinks world. It sounds weird whenever
whichever word works at the time.
People say, you're a photographer. Oh, that's cool. What do you shoot? And they expect you to say, I shoot fashion. I go, I shoot drinks. And they go, what? What do you mean you shoot drinks? And then you have to go, well, like Coca-Cola, like, oh, those kind of, so it's kind of like, it's a really weird thing to say. But I think, where was I going?
I think we were on social media.
Social media. Yeah, social
Trends.
media. There's obviously one thing. I've got to be careful.
I know, right? We got to dance around all the lines.
Yeah. So I'm not about swearing, but so yeah, obviously there are trends on a lot of the channels in terms of photography and also in the video. And I think there is trends which are, people are just following, and a lot of work for a lot of brands looks the same, and you can't tell who shot it, let alone what the brands are half the time, because everyone's doing the same stuff. And I'm not going to go into specific examples because it'll upset people if I say I don't like this, I don't like that style. But there are certain styles I can hate, just because they're overused and it's blah blah blah. So and also in video, I've got this motion control robot, and there's a lot of stuff you see on every channel you ever watch, and everything's moving and up and down, and things are exploding, and it's like, what the hell is this fucking thing going up in fire? Why? What is going on here? And slow down. So for me, it's like I have the toys, but it's using it in a way that is a bit calmer. Not necessarily always calm, but I mean, I'm a believer in not doing things for things' sake. If you've got a toy that can do a thing, use the tools, but don't, you can experiment, but
don't use it just to use it.
There's a lot of stuff that's just like, no one's got any, no. A lot of people don't have creative ideas of what they're doing. So they go, well, we'll make everything fucking spin and
gimmicks. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, that's great, but I feel sick, and what's it telling me? And I don't really want this brand. So anyway, so my chosen approach is not saying I wouldn't spin things around or jump up and down, but I have changed my workflow from stills Exactly. See, someone else agrees. Um, I shoot handheld quite often with stills, which is unusual in a product world environment. So I used to shoot large format years ago on Cinar. I used to call it Cinar in England, but and then just I shoot a lot of handheld stuff, and then the video stuff obviously you
Really?
can't because it's too
Interesting. What's your main? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say SL. Are you a SL shooter?
SL2, yeah,
Okay.
which is a great camera. I used to shoot on the S series, and I loved, loved, loved that camera. So at the SW6 and then the SW7, and I loved that camera. It was fantastic. But then the SL2 came out, and I was doing more video work.
Hmm.
And for me, one of the big things was the frames per second. So if I'm shooting liquids, shooting 20 frames per second, or even what is it, 11? I can't remember. It's fast. It's fast enough.
Hmm.
I can't remember exactly. Again, I'm not. It's funny. I'm very aware of all the tech. I don't bog myself down in exact numbers, and I would not be able to recite everything exactly. Just because I don't want to.
Because you're a real photographer, you use it. It does what you need it to do. You know how to make it do
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah. So SL2, anyway, it's a great camera. And so what I was going to say is the mount, so I could use PL lenses. So I use, because I'm doing stills on commercials for the out of home or for whatever it is they're using it for. So I could use the same lens from my video camera, PL mount. It's fucking awesome. It's
it's
great.
great.
That was the selling point for me.
Really.
Yeah.
What is it about that?
Just in terms of, if you're shooting and you've got your, phantom camera or red camera, with a certain lens, that is particular lens PL. I could then, if I'm shooting the still of that same setup, I can bring the SL2 and stick the exact same
Swap it
lens
out.
on. And it's just like, it's seamless. It's fantastic.
What's your go-to lens?
Uh, it varies. The Summilux 50 is kind of go to.
Okay.
My favorite is the 75 Noctilux, which is gorgeous bit of kit. I love that. I use that on my M11 as well. That's fantastic. And I love not using the little, what do you call it?
The little eye, the
Thing. Rangefinder, 75 mil. Can't really see the whole thing because of the lens is in the way, and it's kind of cool. I love challenge.
Mhm.
Because then people say, "Well, can I borrow your camera?" You're like, "Yeah, have a go at this." And they go, "How the fuck do we?" Yeah. Anyway, I'm waffling, but yes,
I
SL2.
love it.
My
So, do you ever go out New York, London, between New York and London? There's a lot of street stuff out there. You're shooting with an ideal camera system. What does your personal work look like? Do you ever? I bet you would kill it out on the streets, man.
um iPhone. No. My
Get him
M11.
out of here. Get it.
Yeah, no. So I mean, it's funny. I don't carry it all the time, but I'll take my M11. I've got an M7 as well, which I love.
Okay.
I know purists don't like the M7 because it's got batteries as well. Shut up. Got
Shame
batteries.
on you.
Yeah. So my M7 and my M11, which is, it's funny. Someone from Leica said to me once, like, "How would you improve the M11?" I'm like, "You can't. It's perfect. It's the perfect camera. How can you improve perfect?" And they keep doing it. I don't know how they do it. So yeah, M11. I think
Interesting.
if that was your answer. I don't really do I don't do street photography.
I'm
I mean,
dragging you out one day.
yeah, I mean, I've lived in Manhattan for 20 years. And when I first came here, it was like, oh yeah, all these shiny buildings, and it still excites me every day. But I don't wander around. It's funny, I was thinking about it recently because I started shooting film again. That's why currently I'm M7 around more. Is actually maybe I should start doing it. So it has been a thing recently where I'm like, maybe I should, because it is fun. It is
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, you like having something that you want to be out taking photos with that makes it fun and easy to do it. The gear does matter. I know it doesn't matter, but it does matter. If I have something that I don't want to carry around, I don't carry
Yeah,
it around.
yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, the M is a perfect camera for just
Mm.
flopping around anywhere.
Have
SL2
you?
is great, but for wandering around the street, I think an M is kind of perfect.
Yeah. Have you shot with the Q at all or no?
I've borrowed one. I've borrowed some friends. I've taken pictures with someone's camera, and it's a great camera. I don't have one because give me a camera. No, I'm joking. I've bought all my Leica stuff. They've never given me anything, but I don't
Get him
mind.
a Q. Get him a
Support them.
Q.
I like to support them. The Q, actually, no, it's a lovely camera. I just don't, I don't have many cameras, funny enough. It's funny.
Interesting.
Someone who shoots as much as I do, I don't have many cameras.
Do you do a lot of personal stuff, or is it? Are you because I know some people it's like personal projects are their break from their work, and some people are like, no, my break from my work is pickleball or crochet or like
My,
they
my,
get. What's
yeah,
your break?
my break is my work.
Is it?
Yeah, I love my work. I love it.
That's awesome.
I mean, it truly is. I'm so privileged to be able to do what I do. I never forget that. I never lose sight of that. I mean, it means a great deal to me, and
That's
I
awesome.
love what I do. I seriously love what I do, and it's kind of weird. It's annoying to some people, but
Nah, that's all. I mean, look, you took and you're able and you're making money with it. Usually, once the money comes in, is where people start to lose the passion because it just becomes work.
yeah, no, I'm very much kind of yeah, I focus on the work. Yeah, I mean, I have an agency as well, so we represent photographers, and I represent myself through that and production
Hmm.
and the rest of it, and I'm sort of involved in that. Cakefactory.com. But
Drop that link, Danny. Was that
got that in
cakefactory.com?
yeah. So I'm involved in that. So obviously, what I don't do when I get a brief for a shoot is I used to, obviously you obsess, not obsessed, but oh, they're going to pay me this much. This is great. And I tried literally not to think about anything to do with money, especially on a shoot, because you do not want to know. I don't want to, because it's crazy sometimes. And I just don't want to think about it. I want to focus on what I'm doing and get the best out of what I'm producing. Um, yeah, I just love what I do. So what I do for my own work, I don't is my work probably, and I do test shoots sometimes, but I'm usually pretty busy, so I don't get a lot of time for test shoots. So
And here I thought it was going to be like, yeah, I have this side project going on this, and it's like, no, you're over there
yeah, and I've got some other
studying bubbles.
I've got I've got some ideas of stuff which I won't go into now, but I do have some things I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I'm not going to say anything until I do it. It's one of those like, oh, he keeps talking about that thing he's going to do and he doesn't do it, so I'm not going to say anything.
You'd be right in line with everybody else that's online right now. There's just it's all humble brags and hey, I'm working on something, and then it
Yeah,
never
no,
happens.
so yeah, no, that thing that I haven't started it, so I'm not going to say anything. So anyway, carry on. What's the next question?
There we go. Well, look, we'll make it easy for you. We're gonna pull up some images here, and there we go. I had to start with this one.
Yeah,
Martin
yeah.
doesn't like talking about himself, but I'm like, even dude, the bio, even the bio photo. What's the story here? Why is this the I love it. Everything with you is so you.
So that was the end of a shoot. Me coming back from the studio. We just finished a 26-day shoot, and it was it was the commando course for photographers. It was a huge shoot for Coca-Cola. And yeah, 26 days. And before that, we just finished 20 days for them on another part of the project. So it was a huge amount of shooting, and it was taxing and tiring for everyone involved. And this bloody giraffe, for some reason, we were shooting models. There was loads of models. A massive crew was shutting streets down, massive generator trucks, and blah blah blah. And I can talk about that shoot for hours. I won't. The giraffe was part of the props closet because it was just something the stylist brought along as like we might use it in one of the shots somewhere, and it never got used. So this freaking giraffe came home with me, and I gave it to my daughter, and that's me in the car after the shoot.
Now,
Awesome.
now I want to
That's
see
the
this
long
shoot
story.
that this giraffe just might have been happened to be a part
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna we're gonna move into some
Well, that's
work
that.
now. If I can get it together here. There we go. This is the image
Yeah.
we started the hour with. This
Mm.
is bubbles and condensation and a little bit of motion in here. How do you create the magic in this? This is perfect. This is what I think of when I think beer ad.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think for me, this was a brief where we shot, a bunch of stuff, shot a bunch of stuff. Fairly open brief. But obviously in terms of what they want to do, because again, like understanding how the work's going to be used. And I think certainly for this, it's like a super iconic design, like it's Budweiser. So it's like simplifying, not even seeing the label, just seeing the cap. And it's Budweiser, and it's just that's real foam that just happened to come out of the bottle at that point, and it's not faked, it's not been retouched, that's how it was coming out, and I love that because the details of how it is reacting with the rim is so true. And again, they use this all over the place. Big posters, it works well for copy, blah blah blah. It's pretty, and it's
It
red.
is. It's pretty. It's technical. It's just nice. It pops off
It's
the
yeah,
screen.
yeah.
And
This,
then this has more of the edge.
yeah, I love this. This was, funny enough, this is a still pull from video. And it was,
Interesting.
yeah, it was actually a shoot, obviously for Coke, but again, an open creative brief where we shot assets, which happens a lot. I'll come on to that in a minute because I'll talk for
Mhm.
hours. And this was a still image that was pulled from that, and it ran as a campaign of try not to hear this, which is great because it's like, try not to hear that. And it won it was won some gold can awards and some other stuff.
There's the blah blah
We
blah.
just picked that up from down there. But the beauty of this shot for me is that we were shooting in such a loose way. Like the opener is something you would never get past on a brief. You'd be like, why is it worn? Why is it not new? The cap was a production bottle from the street. You would normally get the comps, beauty comps to me, which is what they make, and they're all like perfectly sprayed and they've got the correct logo. This is a bottle from the street with, I think, my stylist's can opener. It was a fantastic shot in video, and it's fantastic shot as a still because it's emotive. So there you go. It's a real moment.
Totally. I love how you move it back. Like, yeah, another day at work. But yeah, it's the little nuances that make it everything.
Yeah.
Like that little, you guys, oh yeah, you guys can't see my, this right here is like that. That's what tells me, hey, this like just the little details along here. And it's funny that that stuff that jumped out to me, obviously I'm a photographer. I look at things, I look at the details, I appreciate them. But it's that realness that I think really sells it versus here, it's technically perfect. It's clean. Everything is where it should be and how it should be. It serves its own purpose. But this appeals to like you hit the nail on the head. I mean,
Yeah, I love that.
you
And it's,
hear it, you hear this photo.
yeah, and there's no retouch. That is just straight out of camera. There's absolutely nothing done to it, which
I
I
love
love.
that.
Yeah. Um, this was fun. Yes, obviously this shot again was part of an exploratory shoot for Coke, funny enough, in the end. But with this, it was, obviously the new redesign of I say obviously, sorry, the new redesign of Zero Sugar at the time. Shot this during COVID. And yeah, I shot this in the studio. I was the only person in the studio when I shot this, and I styled this and shot it myself. It was kind of one of those like, and my stylist is fantastic, and she's probably watching this now. I'm sorry, Amy. But yeah, this was. It's funny when I look at this because it was something that was part of a series of other shots we did. Some safe shots, some crazy stuff I did as well, and they ended up using this everywhere. And it was just nice. It's kind of fun.
Is this an example of what you were talking about with the condensation when you
Yeah,
just know when it's
yeah. It just feels.
right?
Yeah, it just feels right. Tech. I laughed when I saw this because it was a funny shoot to do. Real ice throwing. We were just chucking ice around. It was kind of
Are
fun.
you serious?
Yeah,
See, and this is where, man, they got me. I got to bleep myself here. They got me messed up now with everything, thinking, this is added in post and this is done here. And we did a whole separate splash screen and superimposed it. So this is all just real.
yeah. I think this is from two shots. I think
Okay.
the bulk of it is one, and then there was a couple of the ice cubes which were from another plate. But
Okay.
that is shot, and that's how it looks. Again, you can fake this stuff. It never looks right if it's faked. We get that quite often. Excuse me, and yeah, it's all real ice, hand carved and chucked. It's fun shoot. You just chuck an ice.
How long is
How
a
you
shoot
gonna
like
chuck
this? It's just chucking ice at.
chuck ice, man? It was part of a larger shoot, so there were
Okay.
other shooting. So I mean, this itself, I can't remember. It took maybe 4 or 5 hours. I can't remember. Maybe less. I can't remember.
Okay. You were just busy chucking ice. You weren't keeping track of
Yeah.
time. Who's measuring time? And
Uh,
again, a different look, just clean.
yeah, and again, I think this was I say obviously a lot. This was the new Sprite redesign, and they wanted this look that felt like glass, and it's a plastic bottle. So this was a very hard technical shoot for me.
That's all plastic. Oh, so plastic bottle, but what do you, is that
Well,
real? Did you guys do
yeah,
like an ice block?
yeah, it's just big clump of ice.
You're like, what are you expecting, dude? What does
It's,
it
it's,
look like?
it's ice. Looks like ice. It's ice. Yeah, to light the bottle though, to make it feel more than it was, if you like, because the plastic was very hard to shoot and make it look kind of more elevated. So technically, it's
Mm.
quite a hard thing to shoot.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That yeah, plastic does. You don't want it to look like plastic. You want it to have kind of like a
Yeah,
glassy effect to it, right?
yeah. That's why they stick me in a dark room and go, "Wait, make this look like this. Make it look better." So
This is my favorite. We had to end on this image. This was my favorite image out of the ones you sent. This is an image like I feel like I'm here on one of those little cozy like beach bars somewhere in the Caribbean or Jamaica or I felt this image totally.
do you know where that is?
I want to know. Am I how far off am I? I'm gonna say this was shot on location somewhere, but no.
Brooklyn,
Oh my God.
and it was snowing.
Are you
I,
serious?
I shit you not. No, this was snow. It was a snowstorm. It was shot in, I think, January. I forgot what part of Brooklyn because I'm not
My
really.
whole life is a lie.
Sorry, sorry. It's real. It's lit. There's a 24K light with a generator truck outside. My assistants were brushing snow off the tables outside as it was falling. We had heaters going, and I put my playlist on. Everyone was dancing around, and that is a straight shot though. So that is straight from camera, which is beautiful. I love this shot because it feels, as you said, it feels like you're there, and it feels warm and sunny. But it was a snowstorm.
Everything, just the texture in the bottle, picking up,
No.
like the whatever it's called. Is it refraction? Is that refraction that we're getting in there
Yeah,
in the bottle?
refraction. I think that it's one of those things that, a lot of times you see, and you can shoot, obviously it has happened. You shoot plates and you shoot against you shoot drop in a stock background or whatever and all that kind of stuff. It's always nice to shoot it for real, like this, because again, it's the details. You can see everything through the box. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
this.
everything.
Funny day. Again, what I get off on the stress because I don't really get stressed. I mean, I'm concerned at times, but I like the challenges, and I think the days like this, it was like, gee, it was so cold, and it's like, how are we going to make this look nice? Anyway, it's a great shoot.
Is there ever a time where you're just like in your head, you're like, shit, like
Um, um, is there? No, yeah, we that back to that 26-day shoot we had pouring rain sometimes. The shots look like it's sunny, and we lit our way through everything. But the generator truck would pack up one day. We got to get a new truck in. I mean, just the usual production problems where things stop working. Uh,
mhm.
cameras used to do that. Cameras don't. Touch wood.
Knock on wood.
Have been
I don't
very
want to be the one
reliable.
that jinxed you.
Yeah, been more reliable these days. The early days were much more scary. Is it going to pack up? Um, but something, always be prepared. Always be prepared for something to go wrong. Never assume it won't. So always
Right?
get preparation is everything.
Totally. Which
Red
how long do you prepare for, typical? So that last photo right there, what's the kind of lead time on preparation?
That particular shoot, that from memory, that was I think a 3 or 4 day shoot, and we shot in multiple locations all around New York. There were lots of models, production. That was probably a 3 4 week lead up for that shoot, probably
Wow.
multiple production meetings, pre-pro meetings, pre-pro and then a pre-pro and blah 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 blah. But I did do a shoot a few weeks ago. I've just put on Instagram this morning of a shoot for Corona, which I was briefed at 6 o'clock in the evening. My creative director friend of mine says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in the studio." He says, "What are you doing tonight?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "You're shooting." I'm like, "What do you mean you're shooting?" "So I've got an idea. Let's do this." Oh, fuck, okay. So we got this brief for Corona. They're sponsoring the Olympics, and we had to buy. You have a look at my Instagram, but there's 7 o'clock. We bought the sand, did this thing. Dylan was my only chap in the studio. Bless him. Had to work late that night, and we pulled it off on stills and video, and it went live the next morning on Coronas
Wow.
and stuff. Yeah, so that was an unusual thing where at 6 o'clock in the evening you get the brief like you're going to shoot. I'm doing what? I've got to get what? I've got to get sand. What now?
By tomorrow.
Yeah, we had to get it that night. Hang on, they're closing in half. All right, great. Quick, go buy the sand while I'm talking. Yeah, and we shot it that night, finished around midnight, and then in the morning it was already online. That's unusual. So it
Uh-huh.
depends. Yeah, it varies, but normally it's a few weeks.
I'm gonna kick my own butt over here. We didn't even talk about the moving stuff that you do, and that's. I mean, again, everyone go check out Martin's website. Your work is just ridiculous, dude. It's awesome, and the moving stuff. it's got to be so much easier to get that feeling and to sell a product when you're able to incorporate motion.
It is. I think when I started um, moving into that world, if you like, it was harder because of the lighting, because I was using flash,
Oh
and
yeah.
then to like swap
You got to
over.
get that same look and feel with
Yeah, so that
different
took me a
setup.
little while to build up. Then it was HMI, and now I've gone full LED. So I'm LED throughout. I've actually parked
Interesting, even for
all
stills.
all my flash is now in the storage in the basement now. Even my HMI is up down there.
Wow.
So we're full LED now. I'm still waiting there's a back order of a light I'm waiting for from Aperture, but yeah, really cool stuff. It's amazing. So now shooting, we haven't got time to talk about it, but the high speed video you need super bright lights, and now the LEDs are bright enough for that, so we can shoot 1,000 frames per second video with the same lighting, but we can then use stills. And actually, that Gold Peak was shot with LED.
No way.
Yeah, and it was actually we were getting sharper results than we were from Flash on the SL2.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Everything I thought is a lie.
No, it's very interesting. So I'm loving it. So it's like a rebirth. We're having, it's nice because I can adapt it and work from video to stills completely seamlessly.
Mhm. Is there any reason you would go back to using Flash for a particular gig here or there, or
I like the sound of it.
that's such a film? That's a film photographer, like
Yeah,
the pop of the
I like the
flash
pop.
bulb going off.
I like the pop. Yeah. Otherwise, no, not really. It's weird because I mean,
Interesting.
my career has been flash on stills, with some hot lights and stuff, but if you're outside, obviously. But no, I can't see it now because the LEDs are so damn good. I mean, they're
You,
really, really
you're
good.
progressing. You're moving into the this
Okay.
new age
Yeah,
of
before we're all AI'd out, we've got to keep going for a while. So I'm using
yeah.
AI as well. I'm bringing that into the shoots as well. So we're making backgrounds with AI and you name it.
Nice.
We're
How
pushing.
long how long before you're doing TikTok dance videos? Not
I'm not on TikTok.
same. I
Mm,
think we're the last two people.
yeah, I think I might be. I'm holding out. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, this is awesome, man. We're definitely gonna have to pick up the conversation again one day. This was just
Well, I'll
great to
swing.
just pick your brain, and I'll swing down by the studio. You're
Yeah,
close. You're close to the office there. I'll swing in,
yeah,
get a proper tea, and
yeah.
we'll
Property.
talk shop.
Yeah,
That
that sounds good. That sounds good.
awesome. Well, a huge thank you to you for your time, and of course to Leica for putting us in contact. And I'm gonna head down to the studio one day and check you out, and we'll chop it up, man.
Bring a cue with you.
Cute,
Cue, cue.
cute.
Yeah. No, yeah, pop by. Swing
All
by.
right, sounds good. You've answered all my cues. I don't have any more cues. That was so bad. Let me cut me off, Danny. Danny, if I ever just don't let me talk.
Save him, save him, save him.
There we go.
That was good. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, definitely. Pleasure to talk to you. Got some great information out. It really did help peel back the curtain on what you do and really demystify everything. I thought I knew so much stuff and I really don't know anything at all. So
Yeah, it's the idea to keep it all smoking there.
there you go. Well, we'll keep the rest a secret. Martin, huge thank you to you again, to Leica, of course, for hosting today's event, and to all of our viewers out there who always tune in and put up with me on a daily basis. Thank you guys for dealing with me. Martin, huge thank you to you.
Thank you very
That
much.
is it. Another edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space now in the books. Catch y'all next time.